Hey everyone, Alex here and welcome to your Nidhogg's Rage and Thordan's Reign Unsynced guide. In this video, we'll be going over the mechanics that you will encounter in both fights and the best way to deal with them at the current level cap of Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. If you're only interested in one of the fights detailed in this video, the timestamps will be marked in the description below. I would like to mention that recommended party compositions and mechanics seen while unsynced are subject to change depending on individual party composition and gear stats, as this video was recorded during early Shadowbringers. That being said, sit back, relax, and let's dive in. First up, let's discuss Thordan's Reign. The recommended party composition for this fight will be 2 tanks, 1 healer, and 2 DPS. I would recommend a healer that is comfortable using shielding abilities so damage can be negated. Thordan's first cast will be Meteorain, which is a player-targeted ground AoE. These can be stacked in one location, in which the party would then avoid the AoEs or spread so no player has overlapping AoE puddles and damage can be taken. Right after Meteorain, Ascalon's Mercy will be casted next, which is a half-raid knockback ability. For maximum DPS uptime, it's best to avoid this AoE, so go ahead and sidestep into a zone that is not covered by the AoE. Thordan will then transition into the next phase, in which burning chains and towers will spawn. Players should spread the burning chains and move into a tower to prevent a raid-wide paralyzed debuff. So Zephirin will spawn in the middle of the platform and become targetable. DPS him down until his HP has reached 0.1% and wait until Sacred Cross AoE goes off at the edge of the platform, right in the middle of one of the blade markings on the floor like so. This will ensure you successfully avoid Spiral Thrust, which will sweep across the floor in 3-line AoEs. Sir Janlenoux and Sir Adelphel will spawn shortly after. Tanks should grab either ad and move to either side of the platform to prevent the ads from tethering and slowing down DPS. Sir Adelphel should be targeted by the party first, followed by Sir Janlenoux. If DPS is a little low, tanks may be hit with Holy Bladedance, which is a tank buster. At current level cap, this shouldn't be an issue to deal with. Skyward Leap AoEs will then target 3 players, however players are not required to move when these occur. Closely following Skyward Leap markers is Spiral Pierce and Hiemal Storm Ice markers. Ice markers can be taken to the edge of the platform, and players tethered by Spiral Pierce should adjust their position accordingly so as not to cleave the rest of the party. Immediately after, an ad will start casting Holy Meteor, another knockback mechanic, so be sure to move back to the middle of the platform to avoid being pushed into the outer regions. Meteor and Comet circles will then spawn around the platform, and players will be marked with Comet markers. DPS down the Meteor circles and avoid overlapping Comet markers with other players. Thordan will reappear and begin casting Light of Ascalon, which is a knockback ability and will push you back a total of 7 times. Players should continually move toward King Thordan's sword to avoid being pushed into the outer regions. After this, he will cast Ultimate End, his ultimate ability. During this time, the party can move closer to Thordan for efficient DPS uptime. After Ultimate End, Thordan will become targetable again. Continue to DPS him as much as possible. Holy Shield will be casted by 2 ads shortly after and will target the healer. Holy Shield will cause the healer to be paralyzed and unable to move. However, if DPS is strong enough, this shouldn't negatively affect the party, as Thordan should be defeated shortly after this occurs. That concludes what most parties should see for Thordan's Reign. Let's move on to Nidhogg's Rage. This fight can be easily done with a light party of 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 DPS. Again, I would recommend a healer that is comfortable using shielding abilities as most damage can be negated. Nidhogg doesn't have any mechanics to worry about in the first phase of the fight, so simply DPS until ad spawn, which occurs around 80% of his health. DPS the ads as quickly as possible, starting with the ad on the left, then the ad on the right, then the Shadow Dragon in the middle. Nidhogg will then use his ultimate on the party. This damage can be easily negated with shields. Shortly after this, Nidhogg will become targetable again and first cast high jump AoEs. These AoE markers can be stacked or spread out as they do little damage, and the bleed debuff that results from standing in the AoEs is easily ignored. Immediately after these AoEs drop, Gierskogul line AoEs will then spawn. Players can either avoid these, or with more shields, the damage can be taken and easily ignored. Akh Morn, Nidhogg's tank buster, will be casted after Gierskogul. The tank can choose to buff themselves through this. Depending on DPS and party composition, Nidhogg's Fang and Claw will then spawn, or this phase will be skipped. In the instance of the party composition being the minimum or choosing to restrict DPS during high jump and Gierskogul AoEs, let's go over Nidhogg's Fang and Claw phase. Nidhogg's Claw will tether to the healer and can only take damage if the player tethered to the snail takes damage, and Nidhogg's Fang will tether to the rest of the party and heal itself if players tethered to the snail take damage. Nidhogg's Fang should be targeted first, and the healer tethered to Nidhogg's Claw can choose to help DPS Nidhogg's Fang or take damage to try and damage Nidhogg's Claw. If the healer chooses to ignore their nail, then shields will need to be distributed to the party close to the end of the self-detonate cast to prevent a party wipe or any unnecessary deaths. However, if the healer chooses to take damage, the rest of the party will need to ensure that they do not take any damage from the orbs on the platform, and if they are targeted by the stack marker, the healer is the only one to stack with them. After this mechanic is resolved, or if you skip the Claw and Fang phase, Nidhogg will then become untargetable and move to the edge of the platform and will begin casting Cauterize, which will cleave a third of the platform. During this time, Horrid Roar AoEs will both drop on the ground from where the players are standing and will also mark each player. The best way to deal with this mechanic is for the player to stack in the middle, bait the puddles, then spread out on the platform and away from Nidhogg's Cauterize. This mechanic should not be ignored as it can result in a player dying. Nidhogg will then touch down back onto the platform and become targetable again. Shortly after, he'll begin casting Akh Morn, a multi-tick stack AoE. Shield and heal as necessary, however, if DPS is strong enough, there is the possibility Nidhogg will be defeated here. If not, continue DPSing as per normal, and the next set of mechanics can be ignored if DPS is strong enough. I would also like to mention that if your party composition is composed of 5 or more people, it is possible to kill Nidhogg during Fang and Claw phase, as shown here, and he will eventually be defeated once the phase transition has completed, so the last phase of mechanics can be skipped completely. That concludes this video tutorial on defeating King Thordan and Nidhogg Unsynced. Stay tuned for more Unsynced guides in the future. Thank you for watching.